Why United States government is destroying equipment and munitions instead of giving it to Ukraine, instead of helping Ukraine? I don't have the answer to this question, but we will speak about what is being destroyed and how it could help Ukraine in this video. Department of Defense has Access Defense Articles program. United States military lists the articles that it will never use, it deems excessive. And then these articles can be either sold at a reduced price to partners or granted, given away to partners. But they are given away or sold at the condition as is, so nothing is done on them. And then the party that is receiving this equipment or munitions is responsible, is paying for packing, shipping, and all additional costs associated with it. For example, Ukraine, in the beginning of 2022, when this war started, and we had a huge shortage about 1 month or 2 months after the beginning of war, we had a huge shortage of Soviet caliber artillery ammunitions. We bought from United States for about $130 or $150 million artillery ammunitions of Soviet calibers, 152, 122, and so on, which were somehow, stored at the American warehouses. So we already did this. If these items are not sold or not granted, not given away, they are continuing to sit in the warehouses, and when they are in the warehouse, they incur additional costs, additional operation and maintenance costs, and when United States government decides that, well, we are going to dispose of them, then there will be additional cost to destroy these items. And every year, several $100 million are used to dispose or are spent to dispose of these items. For example, there are about 1 million rounds of 155 millimeter cluster shells still in the warehouse of United States, down from about 4 million that were last summer. And some of these munitions were already sent to Ukraine last summer at the very end of our counteroffensive. They proved to be very effective in the type of war that we are fighting now with Russians, but the rest were destroyed, and they are now being destroyed actively by some companies that received this contract to destroy this munition. And all this time that, all the 6 or 7 months that were spent to pass the bill, United States government, Biden administration had capability to send us these rounds because they were allocated money for, presidential drawdown, under presidential drawdown authority. $4 billion were there. They were not using it, saying that if we are not going to replenish the munitions that we take by this drawdown authority, we will diminish our capability. If we are talking about these 155 cluster munitions that are being destroyed anyway, and money is spent destroying them, why not to give it to Ukraine so that Ukrainians destroy it, firing it at Russians? It's absolutely unexplainable. Then there are these M26 rocket cluster munitions. They are for HIMARS. There are about 350,000 at least still available. They can be fired from HIMARS or from M2070 MLRS system that we have still, that we already have in Ukraine. They are not guided as M31 that we are using now. They have less range. They about 30 kilometers instead of 70 or 80 kilometers for guided munitions. But there are lots of them. There are 350,000 of them available. If Russians are coming at our guys and the volley of such things into the tree line that they are gathering, where they are gathering, the Russians, they will not be happy about that. So why don't give it to us to dispose? And they are being disposed of as well right now. I think when we speak about ATACMS, the situation is much better because it seems that we will receive quite a lot, maybe all of 1,100 missiles, that the older one, Block 1 and Block 1A. So Block 1 is the oldest, the first one, it has a range of about 165 kilometers and quite a lot of sub-munitions. It is cluster munitions, both of them. It's about 900 munitions, and here it is about 300 munitions. Block 1A has a longer range, it is 300 kilometers, but about 300 munitions instead of 900 here. And it seems there were some statements by some officials from United States that they are going to give us quite a lot of these ATACMS, and the symptom or proof that they might be telling the truth is that several days ago there was a strike at proving ground in Lugansk region where Russian forces were training, and it was struck by ATACMS missiles at the gathering of personnel, at the military personnel. Previously, they were much more precious. They were not used at large groups of enemy. They were used to cover, for example, some airfield with helicopters, or airfield with probably with fixed wing airplanes. They were used much more sparingly. Now, because we were promised, and maybe we have received quite a lot of them, they are now used even in order to target large groups of enemy personnel, and there were about more than 100 people in this group that were gathered, and they were put information on this proving ground. Now let's talk about M2 Bradleys. We have received about 200 of them, and they are very, very highly praised by our guys, by our soldiers. They really the best infantry fighting unit that we have now on the battlefield there. They are feared by Russians very much. We have not received the latest and greatest, but still the ones that we received really, really, really good compared to everything else that is there. But, for example, there is a news that about 2,000 of M2 Bradleys are going to be scrapped at Red River Army Depot in Texas. And they are older than the one that we have received. They are, maybe the state is much worse than what we have received. But take into consideration that, for example, Bulgaria have given us about 100 BTRs 60. Do you really think that BTR 60 that we received from Bulgaria were in better shape or were in better conditions, or were stored in better condition in Bulgaria than they are here in Red River Army Depot, Texas? And they are much older than Bradleys. Still, we have received them, that we are refurbishing them, and they will be put to use. And we are speaking about old BTR 60 that we have received, and we will give it to some of our guys. Why not to receive Bradleys that are much, much better? Yes, maybe they are not in such a good state. They are older even than what we have received. We have received M2A2 Operation Desert Storm variant. It was upgraded after Desert Storm. But still, why scrap things that will save lives in Ukraine? I don't understand that. Then Humvees, they are scrapped like 150 units per week right now. So about 20,000 were scrapped from 2014 to 2019. All in all, we have received 2,000 of Humvees. All in all, I think from when we started using them in 2014. We are using them for 10 years. We have quite good experience, repair and refurbishment staff already in Ukraine for this type of vehicles. We know this type of vehicles. Give it to us. Don't scrape it. Give it to our guys, because our volunteers gathering money to buy something like L200 Mitsubishi pickup truck so that our guys have wheels. Please stop doing that. Stop destroying valuable equipment. Just give it to us. Then what about F-16? In 2022-2023, United States government retired 107 F-16s, Block 25, 30, 32, and 40. These aircrafts, these airframes were produced later. They are younger than the ones that we are going to receive from Norway, from Denmark, from Netherlands. They are younger than them. but they were retired, and well, we have not received any of them. Also, for example, F-15C and D variant 57 were also retired in 2023, and maybe some more were retired even earlier. So what's going on, guys? Why not to give it to us? Why not? Why drip feeding help for Ukraine? What United States government is trying to achieve there? And about 13 E3 Centrites were retired in 2023. It would be very nice to have such capability, and if there is a possibility to buy or to receive as a grant of such an aircraft, it would give quite a lot of new capabilities to Ukraine. Yes, we received some information, we received some shared intelligence from similar type of aircraft that are flown by our allies, but to have one of our own would be also very nice. And if we are speaking about, this is old airframes that are high maintenance and everything, yes, it is so. But just look at what our guys are flying now. And I'm not speaking about, E3 Centri. I'm speaking about, for example, F-16s or F-15s. We are flying now in 29 Su-27, Su-25 or Su-24 that were made in Soviet time. So many were made 30, close to 40 years ago. They were very heavily used by now. So we are flying much worse aircraft right now. So even old Western United States aircraft would be in much better conditions than what our guys are flying now. Then there is this Prowler aircraft. It is electronic warfare aircraft. It is right now. It is retired. It was displaced by F-18 Growler aircraft. And besides being electronic warfare aircraft, it is capable of gathering electronic signals, intelligence. There is one pilot and 3 electronic warfare specialists there. And besides all this, it can also fire up to 4 HARM missiles. HARM missiles, it is anti-radiation missiles. It is used against enemy radars or against enemy jamming equipment. It will home on jamming or home on emissions from, for example, a radar. We are using this type of missile right now, but we are using it from Soviet-era aircraft that cannot communicate properly with it, that cannot communicate at all with this missile. It should be programmed on the ground, on missiles, on the aircraft, launched from the aircraft into the area where we suspect that there is an enemy radar, and if this radar starts emitting, because it sees the aircraft approaching it, then this HARM can destroy it. But this aircraft has the native capability to communicate with this missile. It would be much more useful. And now all of them are retired and they are available for us, should be. And let's talk about some other possibilities. For example, because we don't have air superiority and Russians also doesn't have them, what we have now in Ukraine, it is mostly artillery war. And Russians also, unfortunately, able to develop, these corrected air bombs. Usual air bombs with some conversion kits that make them a glider bomb. And they can do it from quite far away and bomb our front line. But let's talk about the howitzers. We have received the M777 howitzer, but there was a much older howitzer used by US military. It was M198, and there are around 1,300 of them in stock, can be given to Ukraine. M109 self-propelled howitzer. There are 500 of them that are now currently in use by US military and 800 of them in storage. Out of all these, how many? 1,300 pieces, only 18 were provided to Ukraine by USA, and the rest 88 more were provided by Italy, Norway, UK, and Latvia. So you could do better, I think. You could do better. Why not provide us with more self-propelled artillery? Let's finish with the M2070. This is the predecessor of the famous HIMARS. It was a trucked vehicle, and then they decided to have something smaller and more mobile, and made HIMARS. So right now, in store in warehouses, US military has 160 of them, and 226 are used by US military. How many we have received from United States of such systems? We have received zero. And then we have received 25 from our European allies, 25 of such or similar systems, different modifications. For example, in Germany it is called Mars, but it is essentially the same system. And in the United Kingdom it is also, they have their own variant of essentially the same system. It is very useful. We received zero from United States, and we have received 24 HIMARS from United States. So all in all, we have, well, less than 50 of such systems. Less than 50. You know, this aid we have received from United States, if we look at the actual units that we were supplied, they are, you know, puny. So actually, United States government has quite a lot of opportunities to help Ukraine more, to do better in this regard. Why it is not doing that? I don't have the answer. Maybe it is still this strange notion, you know, that we are going to give Ukraine only a bare minimum, that Ukraine is not just steamrolled by Russia. And we are not going to give anything to Ukraine that will help Ukraine to achieve victory. You have seen the numbers. You have seen that there are quite a lot of options that are left on the table. Please call your representatives. Tell them that, you know, Ukraine should be supported more. That you support giving aid to Ukraine. That you approve of it. If they were the ones that were voted for the additional aid for Ukraine, please call them and thank them. We need your help. Thank you for watching. Slava Ukraini, and Russia the land est.